Hail my adventures and legends. Oh man, of course things go wrong, right? My God, we got audio issues here. Hold on a second. I got double audio now. Why? Okay. That should be good, I hope. Is that good? I think we got one audio track now. Technical difficulties, guys. Sorry, this is live streaming at its finest. How are you doing? It's very low. What's very low? The music? Hold on. Oh, you're at the water park with Pandy and family. Much love. No worries. No worries. No worries. Hail my adventures and all hail the legends. Welcome back to Eternia. Or perhaps welcome for the very first time. If you've missed part one, don't worry. Today, it's not about repeating the past. Today is about understanding why, more than 40 years later, people are still talking about He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Think about that for a moment. Thousands of cartoons have come and gone. Thousands of toy lines have come and gone. Yet somehow, a blonde barbarian with a magic sword and a floating sorceress with a skull-faced villain and a castle shaped like a giant skull are still logged firmly in pop culture. Why? What is it about Masters of the Universe that has endured? For me, it was never just about the muscles, right? It was never just about the toys. It was never just about the cartoon. It was about imagination. Masters of the Universe was this kind of strange collision of fantasy and science fiction, magic and technology, barbarians and laser guns. Ancient prophecies and futuristic machines. As a kid, it felt limitless. And today, as I continue working on this art piece, that's what I want to capture. Not just He-Man, not just a character, but a feeling. The feeling of standing in front of Castle Grayskull while the sky erupts with energy. A feeling that something powerful is happening. A feeling that, for one brief moment, anything is possible. The foundation's already there. Today, we'll be kind of deepening the colors, refining details. I want to darken the actual Castle Grayskull. I want to build more of an atmosphere and eventually unleashing the lightning that will bring and tie everything together. Because right now, at this stage, the drawing has potential. But by the end, I want it to have power. And while we work, we'll continue our little deep dive into the darker side of the Masters of the Universe. The history, the forgotten origins, the mature themes, the cult classic movie. And, we'll kind of talk a little bit about the upcoming film. And the question of whether that new movie can fully deliver the Eternia that many of us imagined as kids. Zara and I have actually already purchased our tickets. We're going. We're hopeful. And we're ready to see if they can pull it off. All right, so grab your power swords, guys. Settle in. And as we return to Eternia once more. Woo. By the power of Grayskull. Let's begin. But first, there's always a but, right? There's always a but in my streams. So, first things first, I was digging through some old stuff. And man, I feel like the music is way too loud. Hold on, let me turn it down just a tad. Ooh, okay. Yeah, because we're talking here. We're talking here. So, first things first, I got something in the mail. I don't want to dox myself. I got something in the mail. And this is from another streamer on Valora. And I wanted to open it up here for you guys. Again, I haven't pre-opened this, so I don't know what's in it in terms of like if there's anything I should be wary of. But we should be good. I don't want to dox. So her name is Dusteria. All right, I'm gonna put this here, and I'm gonna switch our camera over as well. Let's do the overhead cam. If my damn stream would work, hold on. There we go. Okay. So for those that have missed the first stream, this is kind of the stage we're at right here, basically. All right. So basically, what we're gonna do is we're gonna open this up and see what. Oh, it's just a thank you. Thank you for coming by my birthday stream. Dusteria on Valora. So what she sent me, what is this? It's a monster pin from Dungeons and Dragons. Monster mystery pin. Although I think it's been opened. I think she knows exactly what's been in it. So let's find out what we got. We got... Hey, welcome back! Welcome to the stream. Hello. Good to see ya. First in the stream on Valora. Always good to see it. Nice. So, what we got here was a mimic from Dungeons and Dragons. And it's a cool looking pin. The chest that's come alive as a monster. You can see him munching down or about to strike. Very, very cool. Big thank you to Dusteria on Valora. She's also on Twitch. Streams regularly. She's a handicapped streamer. Definitely give her a follow. Big thank you to her. Appreciate that. Oh, I didn't read the front of the card. Oops. This is one of those times when saying thank you doesn't seem like enough. Aw. Very, very, very heartfelt. Thank you so much. That will be, I mean, you guys know I like D&D. So anything from D&D is good in my book. All right. Now that's not all. Is my other camera working? I think it is. Let's see. Is it going to work? Yes. Okay. So I was digging through my kind of closet of stuff. And I found something from years and years ago, from back in the 80s. A Masters of the Universe coloring book. This coloring book. Oh, thank you for the dono. Stephanie, you didn't have to do that. Appreciate that. Thank you. This coloring book is something I had when I was, what year was it? Let's see. Does it have a year? 1984. So I was 9 years old when I got this coloring book. And I thought I'd share it with you guys today. Let me see if I can do the overhead cam. Might be better. Is it working? There we go. Can we see it? Or is my lights going to be... Okay, if I hold it at an angle, it should be okay. So I was going through here, and it's like, this is an old coloring book that I had when I was 9. And it came with, you can see I was using felt tip pens. And it's all pretty much solid colors. I was using really, really dark pens, right? Can I go closer? But I gotta say, I was looking back and I'm like, man, I actually, like I was staying in the lines and making sure that I was getting all the correct colors going by. I thought I'd share it with you because I was like, this is what I was doing when I was 9. I was doing solid colors, which is old crap. Not another one. No, Stephanie, stop. This is, it's got Stratos here. And like the merman with a fishnet over top, throwing it over He-Man. Really quite, like the colors were working, I think. Now here's something kind of cool that to me, I was like, I started as a kid even using white in my, like I was like, okay, it's clouds, but I was starting to outline things in a color and seeing the power of not filling things in completely. It's just starting to discover that kind of stuff. You know what I was influenced by was here. That's what they were doing. They were basically doing color on the inside of the clouds. And I like the look of that. Are the goals not updating? Oh, the goals are working. Oh, God. Okay, good. Maybe it was a setting I didn't do. So I continued that. I continued that here with the birds and Stratos. Look at these giant coloring books, man. I love it. And here we got Triclops spying in on the royal family. And I love, like, now it was only 100% fault marker. And then there was a character called Faker, who was like an evil He-Man, or a clone of He-Man, that Skeletor constructed, I think. And then basically they're going to war here. Yeah, man. One of my favorite characters was Trapjaw. This guy was munching on a chain. Here's Trapjaw here. And I love this character. Now, in the cartoon, I think they made his gun pink. I think that was by request. But the action figure, it was black. And he had a gun on his arm, and he could change it with different parts. Always was attracted to that character. I hope they don't make him a buffoon in the movie, but that's probably what he is. Now, here's something that completely blew my mind. So I was coloring here, and this is the first time I'm seeing that I was using pencil crayon and trying to layer pencil crayon on top of each other, not using felt tip for the whole thing. I started doing pencil crayons on the rocks and things like that. And it's kind of like, this was huge for me, I think, as a kid. I was trying to do something new and trying to do something different. Maybe the beginning of my mixed media career. But I noticed something too. The last page, or last 2 pages, I never finished coloring it. I obviously got distracted by something else. Something that happens constantly in my life. But there's 2 more pages here that were never colored. Man, and I think it would be fun one day to maybe color them. But this old book, this was a giant picture book of evil warriors, illustration by Fred Carrillo. And this was 1984. Man. That was done by Golden. Golden was the company. So anyway, I was digging through my old stuff that I was like, oh my gosh, I still have a coloring book from, oh my God, 39 years ago. Oh, holy crap. Anyway, I thought I'd share it with you guys. We are going to get into a deep dive here. So you guys can learn a little bit more about He-Man. So, hopefully the audios are good. We can just jump it right in there, and I'll get to cracking on the drawing. I am going to take off my wrist brace. I will keep it around though, because if we're going to be lifting weights during the stream later today, I'm going to put this on before I do it, because I almost screwed myself up by not putting it on when I was lifting weights. All right. Shall we begin, guys? I know. We're taking our time. I'm trying to learn not to rush things anymore. Okay, here we go. Now, between moments, we're going to be treated by a little bit of music. Before we get into the deep dive, we're going to mix it up a little bit today. A little bit of water. Let's go. Appreciate you all hanging out, dropping by the stream. I see you lurkers out there. Much love. I didn't get a plate for... We improvise. All right, let's get to a deep dive, guys. This is by Marvelous Videos.
I still remember discovering the legendary He-Man through Filmation's 1983 animated series, a far cry from the original version. Before he became the moral lesson-teaching, child-friendly superhero we all loved, He-Man sprang from a much darker, more mature fantasy world rooted in Robert E. Howard's Conan the Barbarian-style sword and sorcery and the atmospheric horror art of Frank Frazetta. When we first dove into those early mini-comics and original concept sketches, we were struck by the brutal post-apocalyptic Eternia, where death, violence, and morally ambiguous forces shaped everything. That's exactly what we're going to explore in this video, the buried dark inception of He-Man's lore. This is a fascinating topic and we're ready to dive right into it, but before we get too far ahead of ourselves, we do have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Origins in Darkness. The Barbarian Concept. Mark Taylor, the original designer of He-Man, conceived the character not as a noble prince, but as a primitive barbarian warrior named Torak. This early incarnation drew direct inspiration from the sword and sorcery genre that had captivated audiences through Conan's stories and Frank Frazetta's evocative paintings of muscular warriors in hostile environments. Taylor's concept featured a Viking-inspired barbarian who would later be immortalized in the Masters of the Universe Classics line as Victor, He-Man of the North. The original character design showed a savage warrior with weathered features, primitive clothing, and an arsenal of brutal weapons, including battle axes and shields. Unlike the clean-cut Prince Adam, who would eventually emerge, this early proto-He-Man was conceived as the greatest warrior of his primitive jungle tribe who left his people to defend the mysterious Castle Grayskull from the forces of evil. This barbarian had no secret identity, no royal connections, and certainly no moral qualms about using violence to achieve his goals. The world that surrounded this early He-Man was dramatically different from the colorful, technology-rich Eternia that Filmation would later present. Donald F. Glutt, who wrote the first 4 mini-comics, and Alfredo Alcala, who provided the atmospheric artwork, created what fans now call Savage Eternia, or Mini Eternia, a post-apocalyptic wasteland born from catastrophe. In this original continuity, Eternia was described as a wild, untamed world that had been devastated by a mysterious Great War. References to this conflict appeared throughout the early comics, suggesting a cataclysmic event that had reduced advanced civilization to ruins and left behind only fragments of high technology scattered across a barbaric landscape. The planet had become a harsh environment where survival required strength, cunning, and the willingness to use violence against both monsters and men. This post-apocalyptic setting created a tone reminiscent of Mad Max or other dystopian futures where scattered tribes fought over resources and ancient artifacts held the key to power. High technology was described as an unusual artifact of the past, suggesting that the inhabitants of this world were essentially scavengers picking through the bones of a dead civilization. Castle Grayskull, a morally ambiguous fortress. Perhaps no element of the early He-Man universe better exemplified its dark origins than the original concept for Castle Grayskull itself. Mark Taylor's initial concept called the fortress the Dwell of Souls, or the Well of Souls, immediately establishing its connection to death and the supernatural. Unlike the benevolent source of heroic power it would become in the cartoon, the original Grayskull was morally neutral, a place of immense power that could be claimed by either good or evil forces. In the early mini-comics, Castle Grayskull was protected not by the kindly sorceress, but by ghostly demons that would attack anyone who dared to breach its inner sanctums. These supernatural guardians created an atmosphere of dread around the castle, suggesting that even approaching the fortress was a potentially deadly endeavor. The castle was described as containing great powers that would allow whoever controlled it to rule the planet, but these powers came with terrible risks. Mark Taylor's original story concept for Grayskull revealed even darker elements. According to Taylor, just being near the castle saps a being's life force, and extended habitation would cause dangerous personality changes in anyone who stayed too long. This soul-draining effect transformed the castle from a simple magical fortress into something approaching cosmic horror, a place where the very act of seeking power would corrupt and ultimately destroy those who pursued it. The sinister nature of early villains. The villains of the early He-Man universe possessed a depth and menace that far exceeded their later cartoon counterparts. Skeletor, the interdimensional conqueror. The most significant difference between the early and later versions of Skeletor lies in his origin and ultimate objectives. In the original mini-comics, Skeletor was not merely a local villain seeking to conquer Eternia, but an otherworldly entity whose very presence represented cosmic catastrophe. The early continuity established that Skeletor was originally an inhabitant of a
legendary.
Transported to Eternia during the Great Wars when a hole opened in the dimensional wall. This origin story transformed him from a conventional antagonist into something approaching Lovecraftian horror, a being whose arrival had already brought devastation to an entire world.
Hey, Elizabeth, good to see you.
Stories were correspondingly more apocalyptic. Rather than simply seeking personal power over Eternia, Skeletor seeks to reopen the rift so that his entire race can invade and conquer Eternia. This made him the vanguard of an entire dimensional invasion, suggesting that his defeat of He-Man would result not just in political conquest, but in the complete annihilation or enslavement of all life on the planet. The stakes were genuinely cosmic rather than merely territorial. The psychological aspects of Skeletor were also a bit more disturbing. In the original mini-comics, Skeletor becomes smitten with the goddess, a prototype for Teela, and seeks to make her his bride to help him in his conquest plans. This obsessive desire to possess and corrupt the divine feminine represented a deeply personal evil that went beyond simple megalomania. The character was driven not just by a lust for power, but by a desire to defile and dominate everything good and pure in the universe. Skeletor's relationship with his magical abilities also reflected a darker understanding of power. In the early stories, his sorcery was portrayed not as flashy energy blasts, but as corrupting influence that could fundamentally alter reality. His ability to open gateways between dimensions suggested mastery over cosmic forces that could unravel the very fabric of existence. This made him a threat not just to individual heroes, but to the stability of reality itself. The transformation of Beastman from his original red concept to his final design represents one of the most dramatic examples of how early villains were softened for mass consumption. Mark Taylor's original concept showed a savage bear creature that was brightly colored and fierce-looking. In Beastman's first mini-comic appearance, he's colored entirely red, with the exception of the yellow medallion on his chest, as well as his teeth, eyes, and claws, creating a visual style that emphasized his connection to blood and violence. More significantly, the early concept for Beastman positioned him not as Skeletor's henchman, but as the primary villain of the series before being relegated to henchman status. An early treatment described Beastman as another native of Eternia's jungles whose tribe, or pack, has seemingly always been at war with their natural enemies, the human tribe of He-Man. This established him as representing an entirely different threat than Skeletor, not an otherworldly conqueror, but a savage force of nature locked in primordial conflict with human civilization. The psychological profile given to early Beastman was genuinely disturbing. He was described as being driven by ferocity that makes him a natural leader and possessing the agility of a gorilla. But more unsettling was his characterization as someone who yearns to take one or more of He-Man's tribe's females as a bride, despite being totally evil and corrupt. This suggested a character driven by predatory instincts that combine violence with sexual menace in ways that would never appear in children's television. The early Beastman was also conceived with shape-shifting abilities that made him far more dangerous than his later incarnation. According to the treatment, when he dons his various costumes, he takes on the powers of other animals. The speed of a gazelle, the charging force of a rhino. This versatility made him a genuine match for He-Man's strength, capable of adapting his abilities to counter whatever advantages the hero might possess. The early conception of Merman drew directly from horror comic traditions in ways that made him far more menacing than his later portrayal as a simple aquatic villain. Mark Taylor revealed that the character was based on Bernie Wrightson's Swamp Thing, immediately connecting him to one of the most sophisticated horror characters in comics. Bernie Wrightson's work on Swamp Thing had established new standards for atmospheric horror in comics, creating characters that embodied grotesque-esque elements while maintaining psychological depth. This influence gave the early Merman a monstrous quality that went beyond his aquatic nature. Wrightson's Swamp Thing was characterized by its tragic humanity trapped within a monstrous form, suggesting that Merman might have possessed similar psychological complexity. The connection to horror comics also implied that his powers and motivations would be more genuinely threatening than simple underwater schemes. The visual design influenced by Wrightson's work would have emphasized the monstrous aspects of Merman's character rather than making him simply an underwater equivalent of a human warrior. Wrightson's artistic style was known for its intricate pen and brushwork and ability to suggest supernatural menace through careful attention to disturbing details. Applied to Merman, this approach would have created a character whose very appearance suggested otherworldly horror. The early conception of Trapjaw revealed a character whose mental instability made him genuinely frightening rather than simply dangerous. In the original mini-comics, Trapjaw was described as a criminal from another dimension whose powers come from the mental instability he had when he was in his first dimension. This established him as not just a mere cyborg warrior, but as someone whose psychological damage had been amplified by technological enhancement. The characterization of Trapjaw as psychotic and cybernetic, who is quite violent in the comics and is portrayed as a mass murderer, created a villain whose threat came not from superior strength or skill, but from complete unpredictability. Unlike other villains who had clear motivations and goals, Trapjaw represented chaos incarnate, a being whose actions were driven by mental instability rather than rational planning. The original concept for Trapjaw also included more disturbing design elements. Early artwork showed him with pale green skin and maroon trunks, boots, and helmet, creating a color scheme that emphasized his corpse-like appearance. His articulated jaw was designed not just as a weapon, but as a visible sign of his damaged humanity, suggesting someone who had been so thoroughly broken he could no longer function as a complete person. The inspiration for Trapjaw came partly from the villain Jaws from the James Bond film Moonraker, but the mini-comic version emphasized the horrific aspects of this concept rather than its cinematic glamour. Where the Bond villain was a professional assassin with distinctive features, Trapjaw was portrayed as a barely controlled psychopath whose technological enhancements made his mental instability even more dangerous. One of the most intriguing aspects of early villain development was the case of Triclops, who was originally designed as a heroic warrior, but wound up packaged with the evil characters. This transformation from hero to villain reflected the moral ambiguity that characterized the early universe, where the line between good and evil wasn't always clearly defined. In his mini-comic debut, The Terror of Triclops, he was introduced as a near match for He-Man in terms of strength, summoned by Skeletor when he decides he needs a warrior with strength on par with He-Man's. This positioning made him uniquely dangerous among Skeletor's minions. Not a creature or a monster, but a warrior whose abilities genuinely rivaled the hero's. His characterization as a skilled hunter and swordsman suggested someone who could defeat He-Man through superior technique rather than raw power. The visual design of early Triclops was also more menacing than his final incarnation. In the mini-comics, the character's costume is significantly different from the familiar figure version, with artwork showing him in unique dark red coloring that emphasized his threatening nature. This darker color scheme made him appear more sinister and militaristic than the later bright orange and blue version. Triclops' optical abilities in the early stories were portrayed as genuinely unsettling surveillance capabilities. His night vision and distavision, which enabled him to see over great distances, made him an ideal spy and assassin, while his ability to see through solid objects or around corners suggested someone who could never be escaped or hidden from. These abilities made him a more psychologically disturbing opponent than villains who relied on brute force. The early conception of Evil Lyn revealed a character whose evil was all the more terrible because it represented the corruption of a divine power. Originally working under the name Sultra, she was conceived as a direct counterpart to the goddess figure who would later become Tila. This positioning suggested that she possessed equivalent divine power, but had chosen to use it for destructive purposes. The mini-comics portrayed Evil Lyn as a yellow-skinned sorceress who wielded powerful magic and appeared to be the most intelligent of Skeletor's evil warriors. Her intelligence made her particularly dangerous because she could anticipate and counter the hero's strategies rather than simply reacting to them. Unlike the bumbling henchmen who surrounded Skeletor, Evil Lyn was portrayed as someone who could actually contribute to strategic planning. The early stories hinted at Evil Lyn's background in ways that made her corruption more disturbing. According to one interpretation, Evelyn was transformed into Evil Lyn via the evil magic coursing through Infinita, domain of Skeletor. This suggested that she had once been a normal person who had been deliberately corrupted by exposure to supernatural evil, making her both a victim and a perpetrator of darkness. Her relationship with power in the early stories was also more complex than later portrayals. While she was described as Skeletor's second-in-command, she was also characterized as someone who readily confesses that she hopes to seize her master's power and rule over Eternia herself one day. This ambition made her a threat not just to the heroes, but potentially to Skeletor himself, creating internal tension within the forces of evil that reflected the moral complexity of their early universe. The original concept for Too Bad revealed one of the most psychologically interesting villain concepts in the entire franchise. Initially called Schizo, he was meant to be a character that was half good and half evil, with both halves constantly battling each other. This concept would have created a villain who literally embodied moral conflict, serving as a physical representation of the eternal struggle between good and evil impulses. The rejection of this concept by Mattel Marketing, who said that both halves should be evil, represented a significant loss of psychological complexity. The half-good, half-evil version would have created a character whose internal conflict could drive genuinely interesting storylines, as audiences would never know which aspect of his personality might gain control at any given moment. The final version of Too Bad retained some psychological interest through his characterization as having two heads exhibiting a constant argumentative dynamic, continuously blaming each other for errors while vying for individual credit in their successes. However, this internal conflict was played primarily for comic relief rather than genuine psychological tension. The early concept would have made him a genuinely tragic figure whose moral struggles reflected larger themes about the nature of good and evil. Alfredo Alcala's dark fantasy artwork and Frank Frazetta's influence on the visual design. Alfredo Alcala's atmospheric artwork for the first four Masters of the Universe mini-comics established a visual tone dramatically different from the brighter, more superhero-inspired cartoon that would follow. Drawing on his sophisticated fantasy art background from DC and Marvel titles like Conan and Kull the Conqueror, Alcala crafted a darker, moodier palette streaked with pulpy highlights. He portrayed Eternia as genuinely perilous. Castle Grayskull loomed like an organic fortress grown from the very bones of the earth, and his weathered, battle-hardened figures, including He-Man wielding swords, boot daggers, and other brutal weapons, underscored his role as a warrior rather than a conventional hero. Leveraging his horror and fantasy experience, Alcala suggested death and violence without explicit gore, creating what fans call a dark fantasy atmosphere that fit Glutt's scripts to a T. Early He-Man's visual design was also heavily influenced by Frank Frazetta's work. Frazetta's iconic paintings of muscular, often partially or completely nude barbarians surviving in monster-filled, hostile realms shaped the character's minimal attire, primitive armaments, and savage environment. That harsh survival aesthetic extended to the original toy packaging and promotional art, where muscles, savagery, Teela's feminine beauty, and Skeletor's demonic visage vividly dramatized the franchise's mature moral divide between good and evil. Beastman's predatory sexual behavior. One of the most disturbing examples of sexual content in the early He-Man concepts involved Beastman's characterization as a sexual predator. In the original treatment for the character, Beastman was depicted as harboring explicit sexual desires towards human women. The early concept portrayed him as someone who yearns to take one or more of He-Man's tribe's females as a bride, despite being totally evil and corrupt. This predatory aspect of Beastman's character was not merely implied, but was positioned as a central part of his motivation. The early treatment suggested that his tribal conflicts with He-Man's people were driven partly by his desire to abduct and sexually possess human women. This characterization drew directly from sword and sorcery tropes, where bestial creatures frequently served as metaphors for unchecked sexual aggression. Teela's sexualized goddess design. The early concept for Teela revealed significant sexual content that was largely removed from her final design. Originally conceived as a warrior goddess, Teela's early designs emphasized her divine sexuality in ways that reflected the tradition of sexualized goddesses in fantasy art. Her original toy packaging even included the designation warrior goddess beneath her name, establishing her divine and potentially sexual nature. Mark Taylor's original vision for Teela was as a changeling who could play both sides with some magic, suggesting a character whose sexuality and divine power could be used as tools of manipulation and espionage. This concept was rejected by comic book writers who felt it was too complex, but it reveals the more sophisticated and adult-oriented character development that was originally planned. The early Teela designs also drew inspiration from Frazetta's depictions of powerful, sexualized women who used their physical appeal as weapons. In Frazetta's work, female characters were often portrayed as both an object of desire and the ultimate arbiter of fate, holding immense power, combining vulnerability with dangerous sexuality in ways that the sanitized cartoon version would never explore. The relationship between Teela and He-Man in early concepts also contained more explicit romantic and sexual tension. While later versions would hint at romance, the early treatments suggested a more mature relationship between divine warrior goddess and barbarian hero that reflected adult fantasy literature rather than children's entertainment. Skeletor's obsessive desires and sexual possession. The early concept for Skeletor included disturbing elements of sexual obsession that went far beyond simple villainy.
Hail to the king, baby!
Skeletor becomes smitten with the goddess, a prototype for Teela, and seeks to make her his bride to help him in his conquest plans. This obsession was portrayed not as a mere political alliance, but as a desire for sexual possession and domination. The characterization of Skeletor's desire to make her his bride represented a form of supernatural sexual coercion that drew from horror and fantasy traditions where undead or demonic entities sought to corrupt and possess living women. This theme was common in the sword and sorcery genre, but was entirely inappropriate for children's entertainment. Violence and moral complexity in the original concept. The early He-Man universe operated under dramatically different moral and ethical frameworks than the sanitized version that would later appear on television. Donald F. Glutt, who wrote the original mini-comics, had extensive experience in adapting sword and sorcery material for younger audiences through his work on comics like Dagar the Invincible and Trag and the Sky Gods. However, his early He-Man stories retained much of the moral complexity and implicit violence that characterized the genre. In the original continuity, He-Man was not bound by the moral restrictions that would later define the character. The early mini-comics showed him engaging with genuine life-or-death situations where violence was not just acceptable, but necessary for survival. The character carried multiple weapons, including the boot dagger that appeared in Mark Taylor's original concept art, suggesting a warrior prepared for close-quarters combat. The moral landscape of this early universe was also far more complex than the clear-cut good versus evil dynamic of the later cartoon. Castle Grayskull itself was described as neutral to good and evil alike, suggesting a universe where power itself was morally ambiguous and the distinction between hero and villain might depend more on circumstances than inherent nature. This moral complexity reflected the influence of Robert E. Howard's Conan stories, where heroes frequently engaged in activities would be considered villainous by conventional standards.
Keep your fangs to yourself, Beastman.
The transformation to child-friendly content. The dramatic transformation of He-Man from savage barbarian to moral-teaching superhero occurred when Filmation acquired the rights to create the animated series in 1983. The studio faced significant pressure from parent groups and broadcast standards organizations to create content that would be suitable for young children while avoiding the violence and moral ambiguity that had characterized the original concept. Filmation's solution was to impose a strict code of non-violence on the character, fundamentally altered his nature. He-Man was prohibited from using his sword as an offensive weapon and could not punch or kick human opponents. The character was only allowed to destroy robotic enemies, and even then, his victories had to be achieved through cleverness and moral superiority rather than superior combat skills. This transformation represented a complete philosophical reversal from the original concept of a barbarian warrior whose strength and fighting ability were his primary attributes. The introduction of Prince Adam as He-Man's secret identity further domesticated the character by giving him royal connections and responsibilities conflicted with his wandering barbarian concept. Where the original He-Man was described as leaving his primitive tribe to seek adventure and defend Castle Grayskull, Prince Adam was bound by duties to his father's kingdom and constrained by the expectations of royal behavior. And that's how we got the diluted and kid-friendly version of He-Man that we know of today. While we appreciate both versions, we find the original dark vision of He-Man to be a fascinating glimpse into what might have been, a children's property that retained the edge and complexity of its sword and sorcery roots while still functioning as accessible entertainment for younger viewers. And yet, if we kept He-Man in that brutal vein, he'd risk becoming just another Conan clone and probably would have never captured the hearts of so many kids the way he ultimately did. Unfortunately, that's all we got for you this time, but if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Otherwise, thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and have a marvelous day.
Let's unmute myself. Okay, that was from Marvelous Marvelous Videos. Big thanks to them. Yeah, really good deep dive into the darkness that was He-Man before it became kid-friendly. We're gonna have a little break with some music, and then we'll continue. The next thing that we're gonna be getting into is the 1987 Masters of the Universe film. Yep, you know it, Dolph Lundgren.
Masters of the Universe.
Starring Dolph Lundgren.
What?
Originally, the entire thing was going to take place on Earth, because this is one of those movies, those classic 80s movies where in order to save money, they just have this fantastical science fiction world get transported to Earth.
Well, then, you know what? How did shit like Beastmasters pull it off?
They just shot in the desert.
Just out in the desert. Anything like it, which is what this movie does in the beginning.
Right.
Here's the question, though. Would you just prefer a whole movie here filmed in the desert? Or would you prefer they filmed on Earth? What's the worst?
Considering what we get, I would probably prefer to see a whole movie shot in the desert.
Yes, me too.
This is a first-time director, right?
And last.
First and last time, bro.
Oh,
You may find that hard to believe, but...
Well, he went on to direct such hits as Universal Studios Tour movie #3.
Yeah, a lot of theme parks. That's actually how he got the job doing this. He did a live stage show at some theme park for Conan, maybe?
Conan Experience
It
or
was
something like
it was
that?
some sort of live like stunt show, that they do at theme parks.
Universal Studios is proud to present a spectacular sword and sorcery show inspired by the blockbuster film Conan the Barbarian.
By the power of Crumb!
We should point out that
By the power of Crumb!
are in no way similar to the 1979 Superman movie.
Not at all.
That's a
Not
direct
in
ripoff.
style or music.
Right.
Or,
Music by Bill Conti, though, who did the classic score to Rocky. Golden Globus got him in the room, and they said, "Make something that sounds like Superman."
and visual effects by Richard Edlund, who had worked on Star Wars films, amongst
Yes.
other things. And Michael Westmore, makeup artist, who worked on Star Trek, lots of Star Trek.
I believe this was the highest budgeted Canon film, and it's the movie that sort of was the final nail in the coffin for Canon. And I think it was a "we'll spare no expense" type situation where they hire the best in the business, but they pay them like the bare minimum. You get pretty close to top-notch effects.
Here's something I never thought about before, really, until now. It's called Masters of the Universe and not He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. That seems weird.
Well,
This is Red Letter Media, guys.
Well, I do know the original draft of the script for this, there was nothing in Eternia. None of this was in there. It started with He-Man landing on Earth.
oh my God.
So this was, yeah, I believe it was the director, but it was him sort of like pleading with Canon. Like, you have to have something in Eternia. And so they spent all this money to build this big throne room, and they make the best of it. Had the first 20 minutes in the throne room and the last 20 minutes to make up for the fact that the rest of the movie is shot in someone's backyard.
Oh. And this is Eternia, beautiful Eternia.
Did Eternia look anything like this in the cartoon?
You know what? I kind of hated the cartoon. I think the cartoon just looked like whatever the fuck they wanted to do that week.
Okay.
That's true. I remember Castle Grayskull was sort of in a rocky area, and then the kingdom that Adam lived in was in a green area.
Well, we don't have Adam in this movie. We just have He-Man.
Thank God for that. I hate Prince Adam.
But that's the story. Whether you
No,
like
it's-
it or not, that's the story.
Here's the thing. The toys came out like a good year before they made the cartoon.
Sure, but there was no story.
There was no Prince Adam. I played with the toys first. I was in He-Man, man.
He-Man! Skeletor is his enemy.
And then I saw the cartoon. Oh boy, there's gonna be He-Man cartoon, and here's this foppy, pink-wearing weirdo.
Rich is like the indie music guy who liked the band before they went mainstream.
Except much more embarrassing.
It's a much more embarrassing.
I was into He-Man before it was cool.
before it was a cartoon.
You can pit He-Man against Beastman playing for the power of Castle Grayskull. You have to put the castle together.
But in my head, He-Man was a badass. He was like Conan.
He was like a Conan
He was like
type,
blonde
yeah.
Conan when I was a kid, when I played with the toys. And then the cartoon came out, and he's just dorky prince guy.
Did he have the same stupid haircut in the
Yeah.
original toy?
Yeah.
Okay, so that didn't change. They changed it for the movie, though, and now he just has a mullet.
Would you rather see the toy haircut?
Oh, God. The only one in this movie that resembles their cartoon/toy counterpart at all is Man-at-Arms. He's the only one that looks accurate.
He-Man looks accurate to me.
I guess.
He has like barbarian hair, you know.
Actually, I like his movie costume. That cape, he rocks that cape.
He-Man, as a 7 or 8 year old or whatever, was more interesting as like the Superman. Like he's the most powerful man in the universe. And when Adam put his sword up in the air and turned into He-Man, it was kind of cool.
When I was a kid, I wanted to be Gwildor.
You wanted to be not Orko?
I wanted to be knockoff Orko. This is Billy Barty playing Gwildor. Billy Barty, you may recognize from UHF, and he's in a really bizarre movie called Under the Rainbow with Chevy Chase and Carrie Fisher. Have you ever heard of that movie?
No.
It takes place during the filming of The Wizard of Oz. So it's all the little people for The Wizard of Oz staying in this hotel and wreaking havoc. And it's the most tasteless thing because it treats them like they're gremlins.
Oh my
And
God.
Carrie Fisher and Chevy Chase are. It's a terrible movie.
I need to see this.
But Billy Barty's in that.
Is it completely fictionalized?
Oh,
It's-
yeah, yeah.
okay.
It's not based on anything real.
So this is Gwildor's little secret hobbit hole or whatever. And he makes a MacGuffin, essentially, the cosmic key that, I don't know, it makes tones that open doorways to other dimensions, which is how Skeletor used it to get into the throne room of Eternia.
Yes.
So
So,
that-
there's two of this MacGuffin. So Skeletor has one, but he's mad because he doesn't have all of them.
All
Is
you
that
really
the
need is
idea?
one.
Yeah, why does he need another one?
Well,
Wouldn't it have been exciting to see them like sneak into this castle?
the big map.
Jay, you're asking for an awful lot out of a fantasy movie.
To see the exciting aspects of a fantasy action film, yeah. You gotta cut all those out. Just cut them right in the throne room.
Just enter into the set. Yeah, shooting like a grappling hook and climbing up the side of it. And all that would have been too exciting.
Knocking out some guards.
Yeah.
She was in the cartoon, right?
Yeah. That was He-Man's lover, or
No, that was Tila. The sorceress was like the mentor-y kind of Obi-Wan,
Rich.
but a chick.
Everything comes to he who waits.
Please don't get close-ups of Frank Langella's face.
Yeah, we haven't mentioned Frank Langella. He's the best part of this movie. He's given it his all. He's trying to play
He's
a
proud
real
of the
villain,
film.
unlike Jeremy Irons in like the Dungeons and Dragons movie, who's going completely over the top just because he knows no one making the movie cares. Frank Langella's trying, but that makeup, yeah, it looks okay from afar. But shots like that, where you can see the black nylon,
Yeah.
Don't
inside
have
the
him
nostrils,
look up and shove the camera up his nose. Don't ever do that.
and they do it constantly in this movie.
Because the point is, he wants to open up that window behind the throne to open up to the galaxy or the universe, and then turn into a golden Skeletor, which means he's like a godlike creature. And if they had a scene where they try one cosmic key and it's not powerful enough to do it, and then they need two,
Yeah.
that makes sense. But I think he wants everything. He wants He-Man to be his slave, and he wants to be God.
Well, can't you become God and then make He-Man your slave?
I guess so, yeah. He really should be turning into the golden armor
Yeah.
Skeletor now and then storm Earth and just start killing everyone.
There's really no rush in the whole He-Man slavery thing.
That's true, Rich. That's true.
Yeah, this is coming off the success of Rocky IV, of course. That was where Dolph Lundgren had his big role as Ivan Drago. He has like one line in that whole movie.
If he dies, he dies.
So they're like, let's give this guy the lead in this franchise.
Yeah, I think they were planning to dub over his voice because he could barely speak English at this point.
Yeah.
And
They just ran out of money.
They ran out of money. That's why he sounds stupid and weird. That's my best impression.
Dolph Lundgren is not stupid, though, in real life.
That's true.
No, he's not.
He's a genius, literally.
Amerika gekommen. Ich meine, du bist jetzt ein großer Star in den Vereinigten
Speaks like
Staaten.
9 languages,
Du hast
doesn't he?
Europa verlassen. Du bist in Amerika zum Star geworden.
Wenn ich 18 Jahre war.
Mit 18?
18, ich war 18.
Ja, nach Amerika gegangen.
Ja.
Oh, and here we have, now they've been transported to just some suburb, right? This is just middle America.
They said like they spent like 6 hours getting the shot with the cow because it would not do anything. it just sat there.
Well, that's because it's a cow.
And
Cows are like the dumbest animal.
It just stood there and didn't move at all. And then finally it turned its head slightly, and they used that take. And then they pushed Billy Barty at it. They're like, go make it do something. And then Billy Barty did it. Good journey.
Good journey.
Oh, which way do I go? Oh.
One take.
Anyway, so here's our lead character, Courtney Cox, in her very first film role.
Fresh off the heels of playing Dancing Woman in the Bruce Springsteen video.
Yep. This scene is very Terminator 1-esque.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so Courtney Cox is getting off her shift at the fried chicken restaurant. This is all in the He-Man cartoon.
Well, that's when you go to see a He-Man movie, don't you want to see a bunch of drama between a couple of teenagers?
No.
I mean, that's really what you came for. I remember when I was a little kid and I heard they were making a He-Man movie. I said, I really, really hope that in this live-action, big-budget He-Man movie, He-Man has nothing to do for 90% of the runtime. And I got my wish.
And here we have Robert Duncan McNeil, as some of you may recognize him from Star Trek Voyager.
Yes.
Who plays the very, very interesting character of Tom Paris.
That's right, Mike.
My first job was as a munchkin in The Wizard of Oz. I wish you could have seen me. It's a good part.
Third munchkin from the left.
Oh, we haven't mentioned Tila here is played by Chelsea Field, who you all remember from Death Spa.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Never seen
She
it.
did Death Spa after this.
Oh, is it possible to drop so fast? It's like...
So from this, she didn't even get to be the lead in Death Spa.
Nope. It's a long way down.
Death Spa. A fantastic weight reduction program. People get so thin they disappear.
No, wait, we're cutting from that wacky scene of them eating meat to this mournful scene of Courtney Cox being sad about her parents' death.
So every children's film should have a scene in the graveyard.
Now, this whole subplot with her parents is really fucking weird. The idea that, like, they wanted to do something with her, and she said she had to study, right? They decided to take a plane without her, and the dad flew the plane, and it crashed, and they died. They could have just died in a car accident.
A car crash? They're trying to make it more interesting, Jay.
That's not more interesting,
It's supposed
though.
to just a car crash? Well, that's boring. They were fighter pilots now.
She's moving away that night.
Yes.
To move to New Jersey, which may or may not be a Bruce Springsteen reference. We're not sure. But, and her house is still filled with boxes. And she's still technically dating Tom Paris. He doesn't want her to leave. But she's leaving on the night of her prom? Why add that element at all of her leaving?
So here's Eva Lynn, played by Meg Foster, who you may know from They Live.
You know her just from her eyes.
Yeah, that's what I remember from being a kid and seeing They Live. I was like,
She's
her
got almost
eyes
like
are, piercing
greenish
and scary,
yellow.
But that's her real eyes.
I used to think she was blind.
They're blue.
I swear to God, I thought she was a blind actress when I was younger.
Oh, here we're introduced to our new villains that have nothing to do with the cartoon or the toy line.
Except
well,
for
they
one.
want to sell new toys.
Except for Beastman. Like, who's this alien creature looks like a grandma.
Oh, he is the worst.
He's the worst. He has this stupid hair.
And he's in this one the most.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The lizard-looking guy is kind of cool.
Hey, that snake guy's cool, man. I like that snake guy.
Yeah, well, too bad he gets vaporized immediately.
He's the first one to go.
You know what character should have been in this?
Mossman.
Stinkor.
Stinkor.
Stinkor, the skunk man, whose action figure power, like the action figure,
yes,
labeled on the box, he smelled. They sold an action figure whose special feature was it smelled bad.
Smelled like skunk. He had a little thing over his own mouth to protect him from his own
From his own stench. That's great.
Yeah, I remember that. I don't remember him in the cartoon. Stinkor?
Of course they didn't use Stinkor in the cartoon because he was stupid.
Look at this shot. Look at them all standing next to each other. It's just embarrassing.
You know why that's embarrassing, Jay, real quick, is that it's a high angle.
Sure. They don't look threatening.
When they introduce them, they use a low angle. You know, and
well, that and they look kind of silly. I think in the original script, it had to have been like a full prom. and they bust in. And there's like people everywhere, students everywhere. Because this is just like the lamest action scene. It's just a big empty auditorium.
Because I always wonder, like, just barge in here and they're like, she knows something about the key. They just assume a lot. I guess Tom Paris just had it and he just left, right?
Yeah.
What they should have saw is her talking to Tom Paris holding the cosmic key and then, like, identified her somehow.
So that's the action scene.
There goes the prom.
It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad.
Sure.
And then somebody dumps a bucket of blood on Beastman and just starts licking it up. He likes
it. Rich.
What?
Was that a reference to Carrie?
Yeah, it was a reference to Carrie.
They're all gonna laugh at you, Beastman.
All gonna laugh at you, Beastman.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's a coincidence. Thank God.
Is this the back alley to a gay nightclub?
Oh no.
Oh, look, now He-Man's got another gun to use instead of his sword.
Why does he even carry the sword around?
He doesn't use it until the very end of the movie, I think.
He blocks some like shots with it earlier, like a Jedi, Jay. I think he missed that excitement.
In the opening, he cut some of the black
Focus!
stormtroopers.
Focus!
Oh my God.
Why didn't they kill Grandma Hair Man?
Because he's the leader of those.
He's stupid.
He's wearing like an Angora sweater, and he has like B. Arthur hair.
The Golden Ghouls.
The Golden Ghouls. Oh my God.
What's going on here? Something that's not quite right. My name is He-Man.
Now, what's wrong with that shot? Like, they cut to that, and it immediately made me laugh.
Well, they're sitting down on the ground like little kids.
Here we have Officer Strickland.
Officer Strickland, yeah.
Who for some reason, even though they're in like anywhere USA, Mid-America, he's acting like a gruff New York cop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he should be reassigned to a tougher tougher district.
Yeah.
Maybe he was busting too many heads in New York, and they sent him away.
Cool off.
Yeah.
You're gonna tell me you were just doing a little peeping Tom? You were sucking his cock, weren't you?
Are you crazy?
Yeah, I'll show you fucking crazy. Last week I found a pair of shorts with semen on.
Strickland, we're sending you out to the sticks for a bit.
Gotta solve the crime of who vandalized the high school prom.
Yeah, he ends up serving basically no purpose.
No purpose whatsoever, other than to slightly inconvenience them a little bit along the way. And he's here, like, there's this big arson thing, and basically Tom Paris tells him, my girlfriend was there, and now she's not. And then he just goes with him, leaves the investigation entirely. This is where it lost it for me completely.
I remember seeing this in the theater and this happening and me just being like, what? How did we get to this point?
You don't like the car? Well, it's just a car.
Well, I also don't buy Billy Barty being able to drive a car.
He clearly pimped it out with technology.
Yeah, how long did that take him?
5 minutes, and did he bring that with?
He's a super genius. Jay, he's a super genius that can build things.
See, these are the scenes between Evelyn and Skeletor that almost feel like a real movie. There's so much of this movie that you can tell it's Canon Films trying to do a bigger thing. Like they did Superman 4 before this, and then they did this, and those were like their attempts to reach a higher level as far as a production company goes.
Kind of looks like a real movie. You just have to squint. It's like, oh, yeah.
How different would the world be if they had made the Spider-Man movie instead of this?
Oh, man.
Would even a shitty Spider-Man movie have made money at the time? Would it have saved Canon?
Well, they did a shitty Superman movie and it didn't make money, so...
No, because Canon mismanaged their films to the point of bankruptcy, Rich.
Yeah, whatever they did with Spider-Man, they would have fucked it up. Maybe in a glorious, wonderful way, so we may be missing out in that respect, but...
All I wanted to hear the director talk about was how many times those guards that can't see fell off the edge of the walkway. It had...
Yeah, they're right on the edge.
It had to have happened once. And did they have a bunch of mattresses down there out of camera range? Why is he so interested in this?
And then there's not even any payoff to him being interested in it.
Nope. So apparently this is a real house that they filmed in. It's not a set.
Okay.
And they had no room to film anything. Don't forget about Burger King garbage in the sink.
He-Man comic strip cup every week until September 9th.
Burger King garbage. Oh my gosh.
The Burger King meal pack is filled with a juicy hamburger or cheeseburger, regular fries, and a soft drink.
Aren't you hungry for Burger King now?
Why are they throwing Burger King in the sink?
He's doing...
And some oranges.
And some oranges?
Oh! He threw a rag at him. Get out of here.
Look at this awkward fight. They're in a tiny kitchen.
Look, what if his weakness were rags? Then he would have looked like a genius.
That's true, Rich. Look at that prop. Look at that prop.
I'm waiting for the PKE meter to show up.
I always thought this scene could be funnier if they added some comedy with the truth-telling neck brace.
Oh, sure.
Where he's like, where's the cosmic key? A weird-looking lady took it with gray eyes. She was kind of hot. I was slightly attracted to her. I was thinking of asking her out and dumping Courtney Cox. She kept talking about her dead parents all the time. It was really annoying. Can you take that off him any faster, Man-at-Arms? She's terrible and bad.
Who needs humor like that when we got Gwildor wearing goofy sunglasses?
Oh my God, look at that. He found their Hawaiian vacation box. He-Man's the Jar Jar Binks of this movie.
See this stuff here? They're going down like Main Street.
Yep.
And there's nobody anywhere.
Look, if this town were populated, then the cops almost certainly would have been called in force immediately, and the movie couldn't happen because they would have to have like an amazingly awesome fight scene where Skeletor's forces were blowing up police cars.
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been great.
And that would have been very expensive.
About as expensive as a Jimi Hendrix song, say. I just ouch.
Priorities.
Just speculating.
It's the same
Yeah, it
logic
cost him a
as,
lot.
Making a Superman movie and cutting the budget in half on all the special effects.
Yeah.
You don't need good effects of Superman flying around in a Superman movie.
Oh my God.
It makes him jump straight up in the air.
So here's He-Man using his sword. Oh, wait. Here's He-Man shooting a laser. There were several lasers that hit that keyboard. Nothing happened.
It's on fire.
Oh, there's a Jimi Hendrix picture on the wall.
And here's where Courtney Cox turns out to be the stupidest person alive.
Yeah, she's a dumb teenager. At least Evil
Mommy?
did the sorceress thing, right?
That's true. There's
Sort
something
of.
sort of mystical happening here, I guess.
We were doing some very important secret work. We were CIA agents. We undercover.
We just had to let you think that we were dead.
Here it is. You wanted this thing that He-Man wanted too?
Not a coincidence. Oh, no.
Oh, fuck! Just duck. They won't aim down.
This is...
They immediately shot 10 feet above their heads when they had a clear, open shot.
I hope that was a stunt double for Billy Barty there, who jumped over that tiny fire.
Yeah.
Because for a little person, that has to be difficult.
Oh, they don't care.
Plus, his costume is just
Have him run through that fire!
it's nothing but flammable material.
I'm not tall enough to step over it. It'll be fine. I bought a fire extinguisher at Kmart. You'll be fine.
Oh wait, no, we had to cut that from the budget. That car explosion blew out all the windows of the shops down the whole street.
Oh.
And they had to come in the next morning and board them up. So
are we talking about in real life?
In real life, yeah.
Oh, okay.
They didn't fix them. They just boarded them up.
They just boarded them up. Here comes Frank Langella on a giant throne. Oh my God, this is so exciting.
They're so slow.
Mattel's the one who made the toys, right?
Yes.
It is Mattel. They did have somewhat of a concern for their product, and so they made a stipulation with the movie that He-Man can't kill anybody. So that's why all the henchmen are robots. You can blow those up all over the place if he wants.
He-Man can only kill the movie.
Oh wait, now he's gonna jump on one of the little hover discs, and I bet he's gonna do something super clever, right? Oh no, he's just gonna fly around and then shoot at more of them. Yeah, this.
Why are his arms out like that? What is he not holding on?
It looks like he's skiing.
Yeah, is there?
He's holding his guns out so he can shoot.
He-Man's on his way to get his taxes done at H&R Block, okay? I can do my taxes?
H&R Block. This year, be sure.
He's got the key back now.
But then doesn't...
Skeletor also has one, though.
Yes.
Yeah. And then at the end of the scene, don't they take the key back from him anyway?
Yes.
And then now everyone's kind of fighting. And Courtney Cox has a weird fungus on her leg from Skeletor's Force Lightning. Yay, I got his sword. Now what? This is all. This bad guy's plan is a big now what.
Yeah. So Skeletor's giving him an option here. Their lives will be spared if you come back and be my slave.
Mm-hmm.
So this whole movie is just an ego trip for Skeletor.
Can this thing move any faster?
Bye.
This is really awkward.
Oh, wow.
Why didn't we build this? I can walk.
Skeletor took him back to be his slave. Whatever that means.
His shirtless, pantsless slave.
This is a whole movie about Skeletor coming out of the closet, denying every one of Evelyn's sexual advances, and desperately hunting to find He-Man for some reason.
Does he need the key to open the closet?
Oh.
Get more oil for He-Man. Now just kind of stand there. Flex for me. What? What the fuck? You going to whip me or torture me? No.
Whip, maybe.
Whip, maybe. Torture if you're into it. Depends. What are you down for, He-Man? Oh, Tom Paris now his character as a musician, it will pay off here.
Now, Kevin, now!
Did the sword going into the device have anything to do with opening up the universal
yes.
thing?
I think you need the sword to open up the universal thing.
Did they establish that?
No, but I think that might be why Skeletor needs He-Man.
I think you just wrote a better script than this movie did.
I think I did.
I don't think any of that is mentioned.
Which turns Skeletor into a golden wreck. A nightmare Skeletor.
Oh, the powers of the universe are going to turn him into a Vegas showgirl.
Oh my gosh. Hey, Black Rainbow, good to see you. Hill, how you doing? Yeah, it's Skeletor's coming out party. That's right.
And on coming up here is where He-Man does the only He-Man-esque thing. He pushes over a statue that does absolutely nothing.
Look at me.
Oh no, He-Man, you pushed the statue over. You did nothing.
I like that statue, He-Man.
It's one of 17 statues. Now we gotta fix it.
But that one was my personal favorite.
Damn you.
Okay, so now here he gets his sword and he shouts, I have the power. But in the context of this movie, that doesn't mean anything.
I know.
No, it means nothing.
Oh, that's because the movie's terrible, Jay.
And now, bam, cut to them with no money.
Yeah, here's when the budget.
No,
went up.
That's exactly right.
It's probably the director doing the camera work too.
Probably.
And then just they just completely ran out of money, and they just said, "All right, you're just done shooting."
Yeah.
They're like, "But we don't have an ending." They're like, "That doesn't matter. Movie's over."
Yep.
And it was actually Mattel put up some money to let them shoot the final fight scene.
Oh my gosh.
Canon Films and their priorities.
Yeah. They were in love with making movies, not so much what the actual quality of the final movie was.
Yeah.
I know, that's the guy who played Blade, is dressed up like Skeletor.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's not even Frank Langella?
No.
Okay.
And now he just jumps off a cliff.
and he yells, "Ah!" as he falls with his mouth shut. Although with that makeup, I guess there's not much of a difference.
Oh, thank God this over.
We were so in awe of your awkward sword fight.
Take care, Julia. Oh, it's so heartfelt. The director was saying something like people were tearing up in the test screenings.
I don't believe that.
And I was just like, oh my God, could there be a lie that's any bigger?
Oh God, and then we gotta deal with Courtney Cox and her stupid dead parents. Completely forgot about that.
Oh my God.
He-Man is now tiny, and I keep him in this magic ball.
Oh no. I can't wait to go back to Eternia.
I can't wait to see Eternia someday.
True.
There's gonna be a sequel.
They said so at the end.
I'll be back.
Oh man.
Wait, we just missed Pig Boy.
Oh God, Pig Boy.
There's a story behind Pig Boy, right?
What is Pig Boy?
The little person, Skeletor hands him his staff, and Pig Boy was, he's a little kid in makeup where he looks kind of like an Ugnaught, and the child won a contest from Mattel to be in the He-Man.
Oh wow.
And then they forgot about it, and then at the last minute they had to tell the director, you got to put this kid in the movie or we're gonna get sued. There's no part for a kid. Just put a monster mask on him and have him stand there. So they flew the kid out and they pushed him on the set. They put a monster mask on him. They're stand here for 8 hours. And
Oh.
I gotta go to the bathroom, and they wouldn't let him go to the bathroom. And then he pissed himself.
Oh my
And they
God.
called him Pig Boy.
They called him Pig Boy. They didn't feed him, and
Hooray for
Oh man.
Congratulations, you won the contest.
All right, we're making good progress on this. We got He-Man getting kind of glowed and shined up. Put some oil on him. He's all glistening. I'm working my way up to putting that lightning down. Adding a little bit more color to the sky.
Hey, what's up, nostalgia fans? Welcome back to Dial-Up Days.
Dial-Up
here on this
Days.
channel, we spend a lot of our time looking back, revisiting the cartoons and shows and movies and strange pieces of pop culture that helped shape our childhoods. However, today at Dial-Up Days, we're going to be looking forward, because one of the biggest icons of the 1980s is getting another shot on the big screen. And for those of us who grew up with He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, this one not only feels personal, it just straight up is personal. The new Masters of the Universe movie comes out on June 5th of 2026, which as of the time of this video is pretty dang close. If you grew up with the original He-Man cartoon And I mean, like, really, really grew up with it, like, totally immersed in it. Racing home after school with a snack in your hand, and even having to argue with your sibling if your sibling was a brother instead of a sister about playing with the toys and who got to be He-Man, then it's highly likely you are strongly experiencing two emotions about the upcoming movie: sheer excitement and fear. And you should be excited, because I am too. Excited because He-Man deserves a proper big budget moment. Excited because He-Man deserves Castle Grayskull on a massive screen. He deserves Battle Cat looking like something that would actually shake the floor when he runs. He deserves Skeletor in all his ridiculous and terrifying scene-chewing glory. And honestly, there's something pretty special about the idea of getting to share this world of He-Man and Masters of the Universe again with a new generation. To now include kids whose parents were the ones sitting cross-legged in front of the TV back in the 1980s, waiting for Prince Adam to raise that sword. Because that's the real opportunity for the fans here. This movie is not just trying to sell He-Man to old fans. This movie now has a chance to let those old fans hand Eternia down. To say, here, this is Eternia from Masters of the Universe. This was ours. This was the thing that we cared about and loved so much. This was the world that we would disappear into when we were children. So please, I hope you're excited with me. But then there's the fear. Because Hollywood has tried this before, and multiple times at that. And the results have ranged from cult classic because of Frank Langella to that one where He-Man goes to space and nobody asked for that or cared either. So today, we're not just talking about what the new movie looks like. We're going to talk about what it actually has to understand about the original 1983 Filmation cartoon. Not just the toys, and not even just the nostalgia. The actual feeling. Because for a lot of us, He-Man wasn't just a cartoon. It was a mythology, and mythology is really, really easy to get wrong. It was a toy commercial, but it also became mythology. We're going to kick off this topic by getting the obvious criticism out of the way immediately, because people love to say this like a trump card that ends the conversation right away. He-Man was literally made to sell toys. This is a true objective fact. Mattel had a line of action figures and needed kids to want those action figures, so they made a cartoon. This show, He-Man, was even aired through a barter syndication deal, which basically means TV stations got the show for free in exchange for advertising slots that Mattel then sold. This whole He-Man cartoon operation was essentially one giant after-school commercial. But here's the thing. Critics filed complaints, parental groups called it a program-length commercial, and the FCC eventually helped bring the whole model down with the Children's TV Act of 1990. But children? Oh, I mean, kids didn't care one bit about that, because what Filmation gave them was no longer just a toy catalog with voice acting. Filmation provided a complete world. Eternia, Castle Grayskull, the Sorceress, Skeletor himself, the Transformation, the Power Sword itself. This weird mix of medieval fantasy and laser guns and robots and magic, and even a cowardly cat who could become a battle tiger. None of that was in any meetings at Mattel. That was all Filmation, specifically the series Bible author Michael Halperin.
Indeed.
Who based the character not on Conan the Barbarian like everybody assumes, but on Beowulf. He literally said, quote, "I was very interested in mythology and literature such as the Epic of Gilgamesh and Beowulf. I based the character on Beowulf, not as a lot of people think on Conan the Barbarian." End quote. The animation of the He-Man show was cheap. There was rotoscoped movement and recycled walk cycles. There was also the same 5 background paintings showing up across 17 different episodes. J. Michael Straczynski, who would go on to create Babylon 5, but also who cut his teeth writing 9 He-Man scripts, has once publicly described a hallway chart at Filmation with 16 different labeled emotional expressions for He-Man's face. They were all the exact same drawing. And somehow, it totally worked. Because what Filmation invested in, the painted backgrounds, Haim Saban and Shuki Levy's orchestral score,
It's about
and
imagination.
voice performances, all gave the show a soul that the poor animation couldn't kill. The toy commercial became mythology. That's the thing that the new movie has to remember. The emotional core, being underestimated and secretly powerful. Alright, so here's what I think a lot of people miss out on when they talk about why He-Man connected with children so deeply. It wasn't just the muscles. It was this Prince Adam effect. Prince Adam is lazy. He's dismissed. His own father thinks he's kind of a disappointment. Teela thinks he can't handle himself in a fight. And the whole time, he is literally the most powerful man in the universe. He just can't tell anyone. This is a powerful fantasy for any kid who has ever been underestimated, which is basically every single child to ever grow up, by the way, every single one. The transformation was never about getting bigger and stronger. The transformation was about revelation. The sword didn't create the hero. It revealed who Adam already was. That's why the new movie, which puts Adam on Earth for 15 years, separated by the sword and his identity, absolutely must nail that moment he finally raises it once again.
Yeah, it's so crucial.
Because if that scene lands well, then the whole movie will land with it. If it's treated like some special effects beat instead of an emotional one, then you've probably already lost the plot. Camila Mendez, who plays Teela in the new film, said something at CinemaCon that actually gave a lot of us some hope. She was talking about He-Man, and she said, strip all that away, and it's about a kid that doesn't feel he's enough. That's the sentence that she spoke, verbatim. And that's kind of the whole He-Man show. If the filmmakers can understand that, then we're in business. Skeletor and the art of the theatrical fill-in. We have to talk about Skeletor, and it's not just because he's the villain, but probably because Skeletor, in my opinion, is the most important character the new movie has to get right. And off script here for a second, for anybody my age or kind of the target ages of this channel, I need y'all to remember that a lot of people younger than us might only know of He-Man because of things like Skeletor memes or Skeletor quotes and gifs.
Very true.
Alan Oppenheimer is the person who played Skeletor in the original He-Man cartoon, and he made a very deliberate choice from the start of his role. He refused to play Skeletor as the typical snarling mustache-twirling villain. In Oppenheimer's own words, the Skullhead immediately dictated what I should do with it. I always look for comedy in the most tragic of circumstances. That's why I put the laugh in, and it just makes the character. This resulted in a villain who was genuinely threatening, but also extraordinarily funny. Skeletor has probably insulted Beastman 10,000 times across the 130 episodes, and it never got old. Skeletor is the kind of villain who clearly wants to conquer all of Eternia, but also seems like he would leave a 1-star Yelp review for Snake Mountain's ventilation system. That exact duality is why Skeletor became an internet meme legend. The disturbing facts template, the insult compilations that have millions and millions of views. Skeletor never wins, and yet the audience always is looking forward to seeing him. That's the magic of the character. Frank Langella understood it in 1987, which is the year the Canon Films He-Man live-action movie came out and mostly didn't work. Langella did give Skeletor a real operatic menace. He has since called it one of his favorite roles of his entire career. Favorite. Not guilty pleasure, a real actual favorite. And because he took it completely seriously, which is the way Skeletor the character deserved. Now, we have Jared Leto playing Skeletor in the new movie. That's a bold choice. We think Leto has the theatricality for it, absolutely. However, the film has to steer him away from two failure modes. A completely humorless dark fantasy villain, or a pure joke machine who nobody actually fears. Oppenheimer threaded that needle perfectly. Langella threaded it well also. Mark Hamill threaded it in the Netflix series, even citing Golden Age actress Tallulah Bankhead as an inspiration.
Moppy in the house.
Which is either the most inspired creative choice in the history of animated villainy, or the most Alan Oppenheimer thing anyone has ever said, and I personally think it's both. Our underlying point is the following. If Skeletor is terrifying and funny and somehow lovable, then this movie is going to kick ass. If he's just dark and mean, however, it's going to be a different movie with somebody else's villain in a borrowed Skeletor suit. Eternia cannot look like every other fantasy movie. This is going to be the visual test, and it's one that the new movie either passes in its first 10 minutes of Eternia footage, or it just doesn't. A lot of modern fantasy films fall into what I can only call the grim dark gray problem. If I describe it, I bet you can see and know exactly what I'm talking about. Brown deserts and gray stone walls. Blue tinted nighttime battle sequences. Leather armor that looks like everyone on both sides of the conflict shops at the same post-apocalyptic outlet mall. Eternia cannot and must not look like that. Eternia is purple skies and red moons and impossible rock formations and a castle shaped like a skull sitting on a pedestal of bones over an abyss. Eternia is medieval sword and sorcery smashed into science fiction with laser pistols and hovercraft and robots and magic all existing in the same frame without anyone thinking it's weird. Because on Eternia, that's just Tuesday. Castle Grayskull is of course the centerpiece. Designed by Mattel's Mark Taylor, which that playset sold over 3.5 million units, Castle Grayskull is one of the great mythic images in 20th century children's entertainment. The place where power lives. The prize that Skeletor has
Best
wanted
playset of all
for
time.
130 episodes and never gotten. If Castle Grayskull just looks like a generic ruined fortress in the movie, then this movie fails a visual test that should be completely unambiguous. And then talking about visual tests, we get to Battle Cat. So the 1987 Cannon Films movie famously did not deliver Battle Cat at all. And the reasons are basically budget and practical effects.
Yep.
Early marketing for the new film has already shown He-Man riding Battle Cat, which is promising, but the execution needs to be right. Cringer is a cowardly house cat. Battle Cat is an armored war tiger.
They better make Cringer talk.
The stark contrast is kind of the whole point. Battle Cat is not optional here. Battle Cat is the promise the original show made to every kid who bought the toy. Mattel Studios president Robbie Brenner described the He-Man film as the complete antithesis of what Barbie is, and promised colorful, insane backdrop during interviews. And honestly,
yeah, they have
that's
to.
probably the perfect vocabulary that we want to hear. Now we just need to make sure this movie
Oh,
actually
boy.
delivers on that.
It's the part I'm nervous about the
What
most.
the failed
Okay.
reboot taught us. Now I want to do a quick tour of what the previous attempts got wrong, because there's a pattern here and it's instructive. The 1987 Cannon Films movie had Frank Langella giving one of the most committed villain performances of the 1980s. This movie also had a score by Bill Conti and practical creature effects that genuinely hold up. It also had He-Man stranded in Whittier, California for most of the runtime. And it had no transformation scene, and no Battle Cat, and Orko replaced by a 3.5-foot tall alien locksmith. The movie made $17 million on a $22 million budget,
Ooh.
and that's a miss by anybody's math. Then in 1990, The New Adventures of He-Man moved the whole show to outer space, while replacing the entire supporting cast with new characters. And they sent Skeletor to work for somebody else? I'm sure you can only imagine, by the tone of my voice and what I just said, how fans responded to that. It went down with the toy line it was built to support and has remained the least loved iteration of the franchise ever since. The 2002 Cartoon Network reboot is the one that still stings to most fans because it was actually great. It restored Eternia, gave He-Man some real weight in his fight scenes, introduced the Keldor becomes Skeletor origin that fans had always wanted, and even finally treated Teela as the sorceress's daughter the way the story had implied. It got canceled anyway because the toy line had distribution problems and Cartoon Network kept moving the time slot. Definitely not the show's fault. The show was great, meaning what happened was completely the show's loss. And then we get to Kevin Smith's Masters of the Universe, Revelation, in 2021. Smith is a genuine He-Man fan, and that comes through clearly in the work. The animation was gorgeous as well. The voice cast was extraordinary too. Mark Hamill as Skeletor was a gift. However, Smith publicly said that the show was going to be He-Man focused, and then the first 5 episodes sidelined He-Man early on in the story. The marketing didn't match the product. Audience scores cratered because of this. The backlash was enormous and in part unfair. But the lesson for the new movie is clear. Whatever you promise, you better deliver. Every failed He-Man adaptation comes down to the same question. Did the people making it actually trust the sincerity of the source material? The 1987 film trusted Langella, but not Eternia. New Adventures trusted neither, which was a bad idea. The 2002 reboot trusted both and got canceled anyways. Revelation trusted the mythology but oversold the sequel angle. Travis Knight, who is the one directing the new film, has publicly said that he loved He-Man as a child. I think this is a good thing, but he's even described Eternia's inherent silliness as a virtue. And another thing I think is a good sign is he has described Skeletor as cool, scary, funny, and insecure. Those are the perfect answers in my opinion. I think they're just the right answers given before anyone has seen the movie. We'll see if they're still the correct answers on June 5th though. The moral center. The thing everybody forgets to mention. Alright, so every He-Man episode ended the same way. After the adventure was over, someone would turn directly to camera and deliver a short moral lesson. It could be He-Man himself, Orko,
True.
Man-at-Arms, or Teela, sometimes Ram Man, warning kids not to ram their heads into walls. Which is the kind of content that only exists in a specific window of 1980s children's TV, and I remain deeply grateful for that. The writers mostly hated these segments. Straczynski has once said that they were clearly pandering to pressure groups. Critics called them preachy, and honestly, some of them were. But some of them were also real and heartfelt. Alan Oppenheimer, who voiced Skeletor for all 130 original episodes, has talked about what those morals meant to real kids. He described one man, a grown adult at a fan event many years later, who told him the "if you get separated from your parents, stay in one place and don't wander" moral lesson from one of the He-Man episodes had literally kept him alive as a child, lost on a hiking trail. And these PSAs were not FCC mandated, by the way. That is a myth that lives all over the internet. Let me explain. In 1983, the FCC under Ronald Reagan was actively deregulating children's TV, not adding requirements. Those moral lessons were all Filmation's voluntary choices, driven by Lou Scheimer's genuine belief that kids' TV should mean something. But here's the deeper point that we're getting at, and the one that matters for the new movie. The morals weren't just end-of-episode add-ons. They were the whole architecture of the character. Think of it this way. He-Man is the most powerful man in the universe, and he uses that power to protect people, not to dominate them. He-Man wrestles villains instead of punching them. He bends the enemy's sword instead of using his own. He throws bad guys out of frames rather than hurting them. The producers literally had a rule that He-Man couldn't hit someone with a tree because it would kill the tree. That restraint is not a limitation of the character. That restraint is the character. A He-Man movie where the hero wins through superior firepower is a Conan movie in a He-Man costume. The power sword was really cool and memorable, but the real fantasy was always that power could be used for good. What the fans actually need. Alright, so here's the movie's checklist and not the toy checklist.
Now, Peace is asking what video this is. This is by Dial Up Days. This is He-Man is back, and here's why that is terrifying. That's kind of the we've been doing a deep dive through the 2 streams, just covering all the aspects of He-Man, and we're kind of working up to the new movie. So, yeah, Yeah, we're putting in the power now. We're putting in the power of He-Man in this I have the power drawing, if you know what I mean. Yeah, always fun. Always fun. All right, let me get this going here. What is going on with my... Yes, you do. You got the power.
The new Masters of the Universe movie actually have to deliver to satisfy the people who grew up believing in the power of Grayskull. For one, a sincere tone that is not embarrassed by the source material. We need a colorful, mythic Eternia that doesn't look like the parking lot of a generic fantasy franchise. We need a real transformation scene. By the power of Grayskull has to actually land. A Skeletor that's both theatrical and terrifying. We need a Battle Cat done with genuine care. We need a good supporting cast. Teela, Man-at-Arms, Evil Lyn, the Sorceress. We need them treated like characters, not as props. And what we just discussed, we need that moral center. A He-Man that's strong because he chooses to protect, not because he was born destined to dominate. The original He-Man cartoon was far from perfect. I want to make that clear. The original He-Man cartoon was repetitive. It was very visually limited in ways that are genuinely kind of funny to go back and look at. The original cartoon was absolutely undeniably a machine designed to sell toys. However, it also gave a generation of kids a world that felt enormous, and it felt like fantasy. A hero who was powerful, but without being cruel. A villain who was terrifying, but also actually funny. A universe where every weird action figure on the shelf had an entire story. So the new movie doesn't have to be a perfect remake. It's not necessary to preserve every detail from a cartoon that was made with rotoscoped walk cycles and recycled transformation sequences. What it does have to do is remember why kids believed in it in the first place. Because for original fans, the question has never really been whether Hollywood can update He-Man. The question is whether they understood what made a skinny kid in 1983 raise a plastic sword above his head in his living room and shout, "I have the power!"
Need that reverb.
June 5th, 2026 is when we're going to find out. So after raising my invisible sword to the ceiling, I gotta hear from y'all. How optimistic are you about this new Masters of the Universe movie? Do you think it can capture what made the original He-Man cartoon feel big and strange and unforgettable? What do you think absolutely has to be in this movie for you to walk out feeling like they did it justice? And hey, if you're watching this video after the Masters of the Universe movie has already come out, be honest with us. Do you think it delivered? Do you think it understood He-Man? Or do you think it missed the whole point? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. I have a feeling this one is going to bring out some strong opinions, and I genuinely need to know where you stand on this. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to Dial-Up Days for more deep dives into the cartoons, shows, and movies that shaped our childhoods.
Stephanie says, "I'll catch you later, ELFSAR. Have to drive home. No problem." Stephanie, thank you for hanging out. I'm surprised you did. I figured you'd just catch it later. No problem. Much love. Safe journey. Right? Safe journey. Keep on theme here. Much love.
Until then, however, I am literally crossing my fingers right now, hoping that this movie gives us the Eternia that we have been waiting for. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Dial-Up Days, and I will see y'all soon.
All right. Now we're going to do a little bit of synthwave Masters of the Universe, just to have something stylistically different. Something about it tickles me funny. Oh my God, Stephanie did a donation. Holy shit. Oh my God, we're getting closer to the pump up. That's right, guys. Holy crap. We got four more dollars donated, and I have to pause the stream and start pumping weights. Holy crap. Oh, shit. Stephanie did it not once, but twice. Oh, you know what? That's... Oh, crap. Did we hit the goal? No, one more, and then we're good. Oh, crap. Okay. All right. That's a wrap. We have goal has been achieved. Oh my gosh, Stephanie. All right, we got it. We got to do it now. All right, here we go. Here we go. All right, here, we gotta pump up. There, I got my mic. All right. What's the best way here? Okay, hold on. I gotta put my wrist brace on, otherwise I'll do damage. Power time! There we go. Make this backwards one. Oh! Feel the burn! Ooh. There we go. Ah. Woo! Woo! Oh my gosh. Now we gotta do the other hand. The other arm. Okay. All right. Ah. Ooh, boy. Woo! Let's go!
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. I had a chance to see the new Masters of the Universe movie. This will be my non-spoilery review. The last live-action He-Man movie was Dolph Lundgren's 1980s version, so the new movie tries to see if it can please both the older fans of the franchise and onboard a whole bunch of new younger fans at the same time, launching a reboot of the entire franchise that can last.
All right, I should have paused, but oh, I say a big thank you to Stephanie. Thank you, Stephanie, for getting me pumped up for He-Man. Thank you so much. Big love to you. Okay. Woo! Loosen up, loosen up. There we go. Can't do a He-Man stream without getting pumped up, right? Woo! All right. So what we're listening to now is from Emergency Awesome. It covers a lot of Hollywood stuff, a lot of Marvel stuff, a lot of movie-based stuff, TV shows, all that kind of stuff. He got to see Masters of the Universe, the new movie, early. And so this is kind of his non-spoilerly take on it, okay?
Through a whole bunch of sequels, so we will talk about whether or not this movie actually has the power to make all the He-Man puns possible. This is also a great opportunity to add to my sword collection with the He-Man Power Sword, so Mattel, please sell more replicas of the Power Sword. Travis Knight, the director, literally just did this same thing several years ago, you'll remember, with the Transformers Bumblebee movie. New movie in a pre-existing big franchise, just happened to be Transformers, that was intended to serve as a reboot of said franchise, and that's basically what they're doing with this new live-action Masters of the Universe. So we will talk about whether or not I think they were actually successful in doing that, trying to honor pretty much every version of Masters of the Universe that's been on screen before, even some of the comics that helped launch the original toy line back in the early 1980s, and make it friendly enough for brand new audiences who have never watched any version of He-Man before. I am going to do a separate post-credit scene video and full breakdown of all the Easter eggs and references later this week after the movie comes out everywhere. People do have a chance to see it, so be sure to go see it as soon as possible because there are a couple real big post-credit scenes. It almost felt like 10 extra people with machine guns from Amazon came out into the audience to shoot people on sight if they were recording that while I was watching the movie. But the movie is intended to be a total reboot of the Masters of the Universe franchise. Even though it references the Dolph Lundgren version, it heavily references the original 1980s cartoon, the 2002 cartoon. I didn't see any big references to the more recent Kevin Smith Masters of the Universe on Netflix, but that was probably just because they were making this movie. They were developing the movie at the same time they were making that cartoon, so none of the people making the movie had actually seen his cartoon yet. Nicholas Galitzine plays Adam, He-Man, Camila Mendes plays Teela, Jared Leto is Skeletor. I know there are going to be a lot of questions about this, and I had a lot of questions going into it knowing that he was playing Skeletor. Does he go full Morbin time? Is this movie just another example of Morbin time?
You didn't see that coming?
And thankfully I can say no, it is not. You never actually see Jared Leto's face inside Skeletor's head. You wouldn't know it was him if you didn't actually read anything about this movie before you went to see it. And his performance, surprisingly, is actually pretty good. It is very much in the tone of classic 1980s Skeletor. Idris Elba is Man-at-Arms, Alison Brie is Evelyn. I'll focus mostly on them in this review video since they took the majority of the story in the movie. It does feature many of the classic Masters of the Universe characters, but not every single one from every single wave of toys. Like, there are still a lot of toys in the toy box for the sequel. There were a couple hidden characters that they left out of the trailers that appear in post-credit scenes. There are 2 post-credit scenes. One of them is just like a funny reference to the classic Masters of the Universe cartoon episodes, and the other one is a big canonical sequel teasing moment, like earth-shattering reveal that was very important for the future of what they're doing with the next movie, so do stay through the credits. I'll talk more about what's in them and what they mean later this week. But I feel like the trailers have actually done a pretty good job of selling you on what the actual vibe of the movie is, and it's mostly Flash Gordon mixed with Ragnarok. Even the people that made the posters were inspired by a lot of the Flash Gordon posters, so you can kind of see the comp here. They even use Brian May from Queen to do some of the music, and a lot of the music has vibes of Queen and Freddie Mercury, who also did Flash Gordon's soundtrack, and the movie also uses
Highlander,
the title
baby.
song from the Highlander movie, the original Highlander movie, classic Queen, classic Freddie Mercury. One of the other singers that they brought on to do a new song for Masters of the Universe is also giving a lot of Freddie Mercury vibes too.
Ooh. Okay, he cut it. He
I'm
cut
kind
it.
of bummed
Okay.
that I can't use the actual music in my review.
You get copyright claimed,
The video
Matty.
would get heavily copyrighted. Like, it's a real big problem trying to use people's music on YouTube. But the music is out there. You can actually listen to the soundtrack right now. So do remember what kind of movie you're going to see when you step into the theater to actually watch this. This isn't like the Dark Knight version of He-Man. They're not Dark Knighting the He-Man character. But given the Flash Gordon and Thor vibes, I think the movie hewed a little closer to Thor Ragnarok than, say, like Thor Love and Thunder. If we're talking about versions of Thor here, like how silly did the movie get? Not quite as silly as Thor Love and Thunder, thankfully. There were some jokes that did not land, and the Earth-based stuff during the beginning of the movie does drag a little bit, but once Camila Mendes' adult version of Teela shows up in the film early on, then the movie comes back to Eternia, things really do start to pick up. And the movie does the rare thing of getting better the further along it goes, so the climax actually plays way better, and the movie ends in a really strong place, pushing into the sequel.
I am the villain. Does it feel good?
For those of you that are coming into this as pre-existing fans of some version of Masters of the Universe, the second half of the movie is probably the movie that you were expecting when you heard they were doing this in live action. Like, oh, that's the He-Man movie that I wanted. The first bit of the movie is mostly dedicated to onboarding those brand new fans, younger fans. Like if you're a millennial or a Gen X He-Man fan and you're taking your kids to see this, that's what the first part of the movie is for, to like explain to them who He-Man is, like crash course in Masters of the Universe before they completely dive into the toy bin. And thankfully, they avoided the Surf Dracula problem that a lot of these newer IP movie reboots have. They didn't wait too long for Adam to transform into He-Man. That actually happened much earlier in the movie than I was expecting. Probably my biggest surprise was Jared Leto's Skeletor. I came in fearing the worst after watching him bomb after bomb the last couple of years, but he actually wound up being pretty good in this. And if you watch the original cartoons, you will recognize a lot of his performance and jokes. There are a lot of Skeletor jokes, and all of them got real big laughs in my theater. Most of the biggest reactions in my theater were the Adam to He-Man transformations, though. That really drove people over the top. Yes, there is a lot of comedy in the movie. The jokes that did not work were mostly part of the Earth-based subplot. It's not terrible bad. The movie does wind up justifying the use of so much Earth by the end of the movie in really trippy ways that you have not seen in any version of Masters of the Universe before. So the movie does get a little meta with the climax in the final big battle between He-Man and Skeletor, but that is probably one of the better parts of the movie. Like, the best parts of the movie
That's
are
good to
the
hear.
He-Man and Skeletor stuff. So it really does feel like they nailed the most important parts. There is a lot of cool lore that they set up in this movie. I don't view it as being any kind of big retcons because this movie is meant to be a total reboot of the franchise, and the stuff that they added were all things that were at least implied in the classic cartoon or the classic comics. We can dig into a lot of that new lore and questions that it raises in my breakdown video later this week. But if you've been watching any version of He-Man or Masters of the Universe before this, you'll recognize a lot of the stuff that they're teasing in the background, like just things that they hint at. I thought that Nicholas Galitzine did a solid job as both Adam and He-Man. You could tell Travis Knight really wanted someone who could play a good Adam and a good He-Man, not just somebody who was a big bodybuilder who was just super huge as He-Man. They actually started doing this way back with the more modern cartoons like the 2002 version, the more recent Netflix version, more of a fully formed character than just the simple action figure that shouts catchphrases a couple times and transforms into He-Man. So there is a lot of Adam in this movie in addition to being a lot of He-Man in the movie. Camila Mendes was solid. I never thought of her as an action star before this. Most of my experience with her has been from Riverdale, like a lot of people. She had great chemistry with Nick.
Oh, that's right. She was in Riverdale.
Romance in the movie the same way that a lot of the cartoons have treated it since the 2002 version.
Sometimes you have to go, you have to go through the back door to get to where you want to go.
What?
And since this is just the first movie in a franchise, most of it is just sexual tension. If they do make it to a full trilogy, maybe we'll see them actually get together at some point in the future. But I do feel like the two of them work together. Like, chemistry is very, very important for those characters. You could definitely tell Idris Elba was having way more fun in this movie than he had in any of the Marvel movies as Heimdall. He definitely knew which movie he was in. A lot of the times in big movies like this, you can get actors that are all over the map in terms of performances, like Marvel movie, DC movies, where some people go way too big with it, some people trying to be too comic booky or too silly or over the top, or sometimes playing it way too seriously. But it did feel like everybody in this movie understood the assignment, and I think that's mostly down to Travis Knight, just keeping everybody on the same page as director, like corralling a herd of cats, battle cats if you want to make the He-Man puns. Alison Brie was A+ as Evelyn. I never thought of her as an action star either, but at least in this type of movie,
She was in Glow.
She was great, and
She was awesome in Glow.
in all the comedic scenes with Skeletor too. She and Skeletor got some of the biggest laughs in the movie. You only get a little bit from the supporting characters like the rest of the toy box, but they are all fun, both the heroes and the villains, so I do hope to see more of them show up in the sequel. I got a lot of questions about Cringer in my trailer videos because you never hear Cringer talk in any of the trailers. There are two versions of Cringer, both of them talk, Baby Cringer and Adult Cringer, each of them with their own different voice actors, Tom Wilton and Fletcher Glenn. I wasn't familiar with either of them going into this movie, but both of them were fine. And Adult Cringer does have a couple of jokes in the movie that got some of the other biggest laughs in the theater. They got super meta. Like, there are moments in the movie where it does become very self-aware of itself. I was also happy to see Amazon and MGM use Cringer for the actual logo in the movie the way they did in the trailers. It changed over time. It was an easy slam dunk for the fans. Originally, they started with the regular MGM logo in the first teasers, but then fans were like, why don't you just put Cringer in the actual title? Like, you should put him in the logo here. It just makes sense. And they eventually did. They just listened to fans. The only thing that didn't really work for me in the movie, like some of the weaker points, were the Earth-based stuff, the Earth characters, and James Purfoy, for some reason, was doing the weirdest accent you have ever heard come out of his mouth. Robert Pattinson would be impressed with his weird accent in this movie. He is such a great actor. His natural British speaking voice sounds so good. I have no idea why they didn't just let him use it in this film. I assume because they didn't want his King Randor to be the only British sounding person in the movie, but I don't think that anybody would have cared about that. And yes, the CG was very heavy on Eternia, but it looked better than it did in the trailers. It didn't turn into CG slop or like a Quantumania situation. Like, it wasn't that bad. The best parts of the movie, though, like I said, were all the He-Man and Skeletor stuff. So I do feel like they really nailed the stuff that they were supposed to nail that were important for actually turning this into a legit franchise. Really interested to see how they adapt some of the other characters and the storylines that they tease for the sequels. We will talk more about that later this week. I think a lot of this succeeding as a long-term live-action new franchise at Amazon is just dependent on the casual audiences embracing this character, these characters. But if you've seen the Transformers Bumblebee movie, it does have heart in the same way that that movie has heart. Like, it's very much in the same vibe of that movie. So I do feel like Travis Knight was probably the right person to actually direct this. Once you do have a chance to see the movie, post your reactions in the comments below, and I will post more spoilery videos later this week, so do try to hold all your spoilers to those videos. My post-credit scene video, my full Easter eggs breakdown, will post after the movie actually comes out in theaters in a couple days. Everybody click here for those. I'll update the links when I post those videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
All right, that's pretty much all I have for the deep dive stuff. The rest is going to be just music. But hey, oh, I got my thing on. Sorry. We're just vibing. We're just vibing. Appreciate you guys all. Hopefully, it's starting to see the power happen in the drawing. Let that dry a little bit. Nice. If you're wondering where that's coming from, that's Elizabeth hitting some free alerts on a platform called Valora. Small little platform. Just kind of started up. I highly recommend checking it out. If you do check it out, I do have a referral link you can drop over there. Yeah, it's kind of new. It's offering something different, right? So that's my link in the chat right now. You can click that, create an account, and of course, I'd ask if you follow me. That'd be amazing. Nice. Just adding a little bit of yellow to the our power lightning. Hey Buck, how you doing? Welcome to my stream. Gotta say, I've been excited from what I've heard from people I trust about the Masters of the Universe film. That they got the important bits right. So, truth be told, I don't know, but I did buy my ticket. I believe I'm going to be going next Sunday. I will report back. You were thinking what you want for dinner. Oh, okay. Cool. I do like the fact that we did try to add a little bit of pink to the sky, made it look a little bit more like an Eternia. Eternia, for sure. Forgot to say hail? No problem. See, on Valora, you could say hail in many, many different ways.
Hail to the king.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Why type hail when you can just push a button? Cheers.
Hail to the king, baby.
Hey, hail to you. You're going to be going on Friday to see Scary Movie number 6. Been hearing great things about a film called Obsession. I think that's, you can check it out on streaming platforms now. I kind of want to add a little bit of mist at the bottom. I wonder if I could do that with Conte. That might be the way to go about it. Put it over here. Cool. Just get a little bit of mist in the bottom. Sweet. Yeah, it was very low budget, right? Low budget film. That's how, in this day and age, you got to be creative, right? It's not about who spends the most money. Disney can't keep winning by spending money. They got to actually make something good. Imagine that. Before, it used to be you didn't have to make something good to make money. But I think those days are over. People speak with their wallets when times get tough, And that's why I gotta say a big thank you to everybody. But also, Stephanie did the goal for today, pretty much single-handedly, and I gotta say thank you to her. It's a big help, right? Support the things you like, and those little things mean a lot and go a long way. It all goes back into the streams, so I appreciate it. Many of you are subs already. Many of you are either Patreon supporters or whatever. You support in multiple ways, not including your time spent with me. Like, just you being here is support. So it's never been a requirement, right? But I just always want to make sure to say thank you because it's meaningful. You're not putting money towards a corporation. You're putting money towards an individual, right? So appreciate it. Thank you. Good on that director. I believe he was a YouTuber. Oh, okay. Nice. Hail, Mystic. Hey, Mystic, do you know on Valora you could say hail? You could do
Hail to the champion, baby!
Something like that. There you go. How you doing, Mystic? I hope you're well. Get excited about He-Man, and this is him bench pressing his blade, screaming. What is he screaming again? I think he screams something like, I think, is it, or did it not go off? It did go off. Where does he scream? He screams. That's that moment. That is that moment. That's what we're trying to capture. It's about the power of the stream. Right on, right on. Okay, I feel the energy. I feel the power. The Mandalorian and Grogu? Yeah, it's a you know, I guess, you know, maybe it will go down in history as Kathleen Kennedy's final mistake. I'm ready for a new era. Aren't you? I think most people are. I think Star Wars is a powerful property, and I think it's got the power to come back. It just has to be handled with respect. That's all. Not just an easy cash grab. I think it's strong enough that stories in general need to be retold. Even Lucas has said himself that, you know, stories around the campfire, they need to be told over and over and over again. So I think, you know, a new iteration of Star Wars will happen. It's too powerful for it not to. All right, this needs a little bit of love there. Let's grab the. Yeah, we'll see. I have a feeling next year they're going to announce a remake of the whole franchise, but I don't know how fans are going to take that. I think most people are going to groan. But I don't know. They've written themselves into a hole. Where do you go from here? You gotta do a reboot. All right, let me take a moment to look back at this. Look at the skull there. Could we work on that a little bit? Yeah, I think so. I think I can. Let's see. Woo! Oh, that's you know, you're not alone, Buck. You're not alone. I would describe myself as a long-term, you know, Star Wars fan. I grew up with the movies. I was at that era. Like I saw you know, Empire in the theater. Like I was upset that they turned one of my favorite heroes into a chocolate bar. Yeah, no, listen, and even I, who, if anything Star Wars came out, I would see it. What they call it is apathy. I grew to no longer care. And when you've done that to an original fan, you know, prequels I groaned about because, you know, it was different. It was you know, it was, you know, early days of CGI, and it was just not. There was a lot of choices made there that I didn't agree with. But over time, it started to, you know, it started to create its own thing. But the sequel trilogy was just the biggest slap in the face, right? That, yeah, you know, even long-term fans no longer care, and that's what's going to be the most telling thing about this new movie coming out. I hear it's like. It's made for like 5-year-olds. That's what I hear. I hear it's like they're just trying to go over, try to get new fans because all the older fans have left. Even Favreau, who directed it, was like, I don't know why they're doing this. I don't know why they're making this film, but he get paid, so I think even he doesn't care anymore. Of course, he wants it to do well, but yeah. When you try to appeal to multiple people, you appeal to nobody, right? Yeah, Last Jedi. Oh yeah, that was a low point. That was a low point. But tell me, Buck, would you be willing? Are you waiting? You're waiting to hear reactions. Would you be willing to see Masters of the Universe? Seems like they're making a big effort to try to bring the original feeling of back. Mad respect to the director too, the way he's approached it. And I've enjoyed his other stuff, so I have very high hopes. And if it lands and it is a financial success, I just can't. I can't wait for the other properties that might follow suit. Right? There's such a bank of so many awesome properties that deserve a little bit of live action treatment. I'm just trying to create a little bit more of a shadow here. I do plan on taking this and going further, exploring with it in my traditional method. Those things take a long time to do, though, because I just do it on my off hours, and I've got multiple projects I'm working on at the same time. So they will show up later. If I like them enough, I'll turn them into prints. But for the most part, if you're not part of Patreon, do check out my Patreon. I do post stuff there for free. And, people can support if they want to, but it's very simple. It's a Patreon that, I put a little gallery section of the work. Sometimes there's work in progresses and stuff like that there. It's a great way to showcase the gallery stuff. The Discord's okay, but everything's really small. It's not a great way to look at it. Whereas Patreon doesn't limit me on my uploads. All right. Now we're going to see if I can get into a thinner pen with some of this stuff. Would be cool. Where is it? Thin pen. Let's see if we can get that rocking. I need to shake it. You never grew up with Masters of the Universe, but you'd be a literal fish out of water. But you know what? I think that's the real test of the movie. The first half of the movie, I think, is trying to establish the lore, and it's an onboarding part, as we saw in the video earlier. It was really kind of, but the fans of it gets better and better as it goes along, which is how movies should be, right? So that's really, really good to hear. Okay, we got a little bit of thinner. What I can do too with the digital stuff is I can zoom in and I can do like literally fine stuff with the electricity, which I think would be really, really good. Especially with electricity, you can get really, really fine. Oh, you didn't enjoy 5 of Scary Movie? I don't know. Sometimes they all blend together for me. I'm sure I'm not the only one. Okay, let's try and see if we can grab Come on. A lot of times these white pens take a long time to get the flowing correctly. How you're supposed to store them horizontally, not vertically, so they don't dry out. Ooh. Yeah, it's not shaking at all. Okay. I'm gonna open up a new pen. Yeah, that's the thing. It's that a lot of times, you know, after so much time, that's when nostalgia kicks in, right? It really helps, especially if a film was received poorly. All right. Nice. There we go. How are things going with everyone? What's going on in everybody's lives? Anybody guys got any big plans for the summer? Sar and I have finally decided that we are going to be going to Japan. We've been kind of saving up for it for really since COVID. Really, it's been a while, and we're gonna finally pull the plug on it. We're gonna finally go to Japan. We're gonna be going to Tokyo. We're gonna go to Hakone. We're gonna go to Kyoto, Osaka, and just check out a ton of different sites and stuff like that. We're only, this is kind of like our one trip there, so we're gonna make the most of it. Should be good. I'm definitely going to record some stuff. Probably won't be able to live stream from there, but yeah, we're kind of sorting out the details. You have to kind of deal with the details now because like a lot of things get booked up really quickly. So we're going to be there during the cherry blossom season. So it's going to be gorgeous. It'll be beautiful. So it'll be around April of next year. Nice. Having a lot of power coming off He-Man and the sword. Ooh. The oldest movie that's that this movie will be making fun of is Get Out. Everything else is a lot more recent. Oh, okay. Yeah, Get Out was pretty impactful. Nice. Woo! Get that out of the way. Nice. Crackling energy. So hopefully it feels like there's energy going across the blade and outwards, right? And then He-Man's got that kind of glow as well. Just gonna put some light reflections. Some last minute glow off his abs, right? You know, gotta glisten those abs up, right? The washboard. Kind of reflecting off his muscles, as my wife would say. Crackling energy. Edge highlight of him screaming. I know. Why doesn't He-Man's hair get really, really frizzy with all that electricity power, right? His whole hair should be like risen up. He put his finger in a light socket. Yeah, I'm trying. Well, see, the show didn't really show the energy like this, but for me, I'm like, okay, how do I show him like bench pressing some sort of like, he bench presses the sword when he says, I have the power. So it's kind of like, okay, let's have that energy kind of radiating right off the blade. And that's why I kind of also wanted him to be glowing a little bit. He's got that kind of like yellow glow. And it actually looks like in the film, they show him have that kind of yellow glow as well. So I'm so excited to see it. I ain't gonna lie. I've been, a big fan of the old comics and the toys, and it's like a childhood coming to life. So I'm fully aware that nothing will ever meet the imagination of my 8-year-old self. Let's see. I think what's missing is I need to emphasize some cracks. But I want the skull to be prominent in it, right? Grayskull has a great deal to do with the power. Elizabeth, you accidentally touched the light switch? You got zapped? Zippity zap. Buck, you went to Walmart today. Okay. Saw a clown backpack. About $40 worth it. Yeah, I mean, depends on like, the compartments, the zippers, how practical it is. But a clown backpack can be scary. Clean that out. A lot of times when I have pencil crayon down on the paper, it will fill the nib, and so it's difficult to deal with. And I know a lot of this stuff I can do, just manipulate and change digitally. It's a lot easier to do it that way. I can move stuff around or shift it or bend it, change the color, opacity, throw some some blur on it, sharpen it. A lot of stuff you can do digital, but I try to do as much as I can with traditional methods. So could I see this on a packaging for an action figure? That would be. That's kind of the vibe we're going for, I guess. I do like the fact that the blade is quite white. It's glowing, right? I almost kind of don't want to touch it. I was gonna put some more grays and stuff like that in it, but oof, I don't think I need to. I'm going to separate the handle though. Let's separate the fist on the blade. I think that's probably important. Sword's perfect, Elizabeth? Oh, good to hear. Nice. Well, I just want to say I appreciate everyone that's hung out today. You know, it's an art stream, and art sometimes takes time to do, and I get it. It's kind of like, okay, that's why we try to add a little bit of, you know, videos and geek out stuff just to have it a little bit of edutainment. But for the most part, I appreciate you guys. Anybody who's just dropping by and saying hi too. Like, thank you. You know what I want to do is I want to go darker on his armor. Just a tad. Where's my grays? I've got darker grays here. I feel like it's going to pop the sword further out. I know it doesn't make sense because it would be illuminated, right? Overall, nice. Cool. Beautiful. Ah. Yeah, overall I'm pretty happy with the way it's turned out. Eternia. All right. Ah, man. Okay, so let's see. How are we doing here? Perfect. Just got a little sip of water. Woohoo! All right. Oh boy. Okay. Well, adventurers and legends, I think that's a good place to leave the... Oops, hold on. Oh, you know what we need to do? We need to do a couple clips. I know. I'm just interrupting the stream right now. I don't do enough clips on my channel, and I need to fix that. I know Valora's got a clip update as well. I'm gonna switch back to the art scene. Wow, like that. And we'll drop into our overhead cam. If I can just pop it open. There we go. Let's do this first. Okay. Let me grab that. All right, let's see if we can do. You need to do clips on some various different channels, so I hope you bear with me. Where's the clip feature on here? Where is it? That's the one thing about. No, that's not it. It's not working. Okay. All right. Well, guys, we did Masters of the Universe He-Man drawing. Try to represent the power from Castle Grayskull back into the sword. And yeah, I think it came out pretty well. We are, trying to say I have the power, right? That's kind of the idea behind it. Nice. Okay. We tried doing a clip on there. All right. Let's grab the... Woo! More power to you! Indeed. Nice. Nice. Okay, so the clip did pop up on Valora. Nice. Okay. Well, it does work. That's good. Nice. All right, everyone. Let's we'll do our closing stream now. Oh, wow. Thank you for your patience, guys. Well, Adventures in Legends, I think that's a good place to kind of leave it tonight. We added more atmosphere to Eternia. We darkened Castle Grayskull. We pushed the colors further and started bringing the power and the energy that I felt that this piece deserves. That's still not finished, though. But we can see clearly see where it's going, for sure. And honestly, this is one of my favorite parts of the creative process. That moment where a collection of sketches, colors, and ideas start becoming something bigger. They become kind of individual pieces. Tonight, we also took another kind of trip down the Masters of the Universe history. Not the version that most people remember, but not the commercial, not the weekday afternoon cartoons, but a stranger, darker, more methodical side of Eternia that often gets overlooked. And honestly, I think that's one of the reasons this franchise has survived for more than 40 years. Beneath the muscles, beneath the monsters, the laser guns, the magic swords, there's a surprisingly rich world of mythology, fantasy, heroism, and most importantly, imagination. A world that captured the minds of an entire generation. Now the big question remains, can the new movie capture that same feeling? Like I said before, Sar and I have our tickets. Yes, we're going at the end of the opening week. And I genuinely hope that they pull it off, because I'd love to see a whole new generation discover the magic of Eternia the way many of us did. A huge thank you to everyone who joined tonight, to everyone lurking, chatting, sharing stories. hitting that pump iron challenge. Thank you so much for that. Supporting through memberships, donations, subscriptions, and of course Patreon, and of course just being here. Thank you. And also, of course, a special shout out to everyone who has been joining me over on Valora and testing out the new alerts with those new channel point interactions. I love, I love watching new communities grow. It's always exciting, right? Now, if you've enjoyed tonight's stream and you've not already subscribed, of course, considering joining us for future adventures here on the channel, we've got more art, more deep dives, more nostalgia, and more, geeky rabbit holes ahead of us, right? Man. Oh. Yes, indeed we do. Oh, man. Yes. Gosh, guys. You guys have been amazing. Until next time, of course, raise your power sword high. And remember, by the power of Grayskull, we have the power!